A frantic search for survivors is underway at the site of the crash. A helicopter circles above the wreckage while rescue workers, including members of Nepal's military, sift through the smoldering debris on the ground in a river gorge more than a kilometre from the airport. The commuter plane, part of Nepal's Yeti Airlines fleet, reportedly crashed while approaching the landing runway in the tourist town of Pokhara in central Nepal after taking off from Kathmandu. An airline spokesperson says there were 72 people on board, including 2 infants, 4 crew members, and at least 10 foreign nationals.
Tonight, chaos in the cockpit as 2 planes nearly collide at New York's JFK airport.
American 106 have a possible pilot deviation. Do you copy?
Panicked air traffic controllers noticed the 2 planes converging Friday around 8:45 p.m. According to the FAA, a Delta 737 headed to the Dominican Republic was getting ready to take off with 145 passengers and 6 crew members aboard. The Delta flight accelerating to 115 miles per hour down runway 4 left. Just as the Delta plane was about to take off, an American Airlines 777 jet bound for London crossed its path, the planes missing each other by just 1,000 feet. The Delta jet forced to abruptly abort takeoff, avoiding a potential deadly disaster.
Delta 1943, cancel takeoff clearance.
All right, and the Delta 1943.
A gaping hole where as many as 30 apartments once stood, reduced to a pile of debris and a cloud of smoke. The destruction believed to be the result of a ballistic missile striking the residential building in the central eastern city of Dnipro. Residents waving their torches from their phones to get rescuers' attention. Ukraine's state power company said energy facilities in 5 regions were hit in this latest wave of airstrikes. Emergency blackouts are now in place across most of the country.
Russia and Belarus have begun 2 weeks of Air Force military drills. And the 2 countries have held joint exercises in the past year as Russia began its offensive in Ukraine. Well, this time the Belarusian Defense Ministry says the tactical flight exercises are defensive in nature. Now, there are concerns Moscow may be pushing Minsk to join the war in Ukraine. There's been alarm about a build-up of Russian troops in Belarus and military activity in the country in recent weeks. Moscow had used its neighbour as a springboard to launch attacks on Ukraine almost a year ago.
More than 80,000 Israeli protesters rallied in Tel Aviv on Saturday against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial reform plans, with organizers accusing him of undermining democratic rule weeks after his re-election. The reforms would make it easier for the parliament to overturn Supreme Court rulings, among other things. Protesters described Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposed changes as an attack on democratic rule. It follows the installment of the most religious and hardline government in Israeli history. Rallies were also held outside the Prime Minister's residence in Jerusalem and in the northern city of Haifa.
Italy's most wanted mafia boss, Sicilian Matteo Messina Denaro, has been arrested in Palermo, Sicily. The 60-year-old had been on the run for 30 years. Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini made the announcement on Monday morning, saying the arrest was made in a health facility where Denaro had undergone treatment. He was sentenced in absentia to life imprisonment for murder, but the only known photo of him dates back to the early 1990s.
Here in Germany, police are pushing ahead with the clearing out of environmental activists from the area of a planned coal mine expansions. Thousands of people have descended on the village of Lützerath, which is set to be demolished so the German energy giant RWE can mine the lignite underneath it. A smaller group of protesters has been holed up in the town for days, with police forcibly removing those who refused to leave.
At least 10 people were killed and 39 wounded Sunday in a bomb attack on a church in eastern DRC claimed by Islamic State jihadists. Congolese military spokesman said the terrorist act happened in a Pentecostal church in North Kivu province.
Atrocities against women in Afghanistan are only growing with each passing day. In the latest, a former female lawmaker of Afghanistan was shot dead, along with her bodyguard, by unknown assailants in her residence in Kabul. According to a spokesperson of the Kabul Security Department, Mursal Nabizada, who'd been a member of parliament in the US-backed government, was killed by unknown gunmen in Kabul city. She was a member of the Parliamentary Defence Commission and worked as a private non-governmental group. Nabizada was elected in 2019 and stayed in office until the Taliban takeover. She was one of the few female parliamentarians who were living in Kabul.